Alright, so welcome back guys, or welcome to your first time here. I'm Vision here with Binary Entertainment, bringing you guys another video. Today I'll be talking about the 100, Season 7, Episode 10, A Little Sacrifice. Now if the 100 is something you're interested in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and hit that bell icon. That would miss any more 100 rated content from me moving forward. Now let's begin. Now, starting off with the story off Bardo, we pick up right where we pretty much left off with Clark holding Cadigan at gunpoint. Now she orders his people to stand down and let them pass without seeing any of them. And at first, you got Anders who objects and says that they're not going to do this, but Cadigan tells him to let them through and not to let them be interrupted by anybody. Now, at that point, you got Clark who tells Nyla and Jordan to stay with Gabriel and guard Cadigan as she goes out to talk to her friends. Now, as they're regrouping and try to figure out their next move, they also realize that our group, including of Octavia's people, did not tell him everything, since they realized that Cadigan still believes that Clark has the flame in her head, so they didn't really break, and which I like. I'm glad they didn't go down that route, and I'm glad they fixed that up there, because I was nervous that they were gonna do something there and change the character, so I'm glad they didn't go down that route. But at this point they decide, okay, we're gonna go talk to our friends. You got Anders who stands down, and you got Nyla, Jordan, and Gabriel who are gonna stay behind with Cadigan. Now, once our group leaves, we get some scenes between Cadigan and the rest of the people left behind, and Bill starts questioning Nyla regarding, his daughter and the history regarding her. We learn that, she was a great leader, and you got Nyla who says that after she died, even her enemies cried for her death. Now, we also get some interesting scenes regarding the stone and the stone room, and you got Jordan who questions him and asks him if this is really what is going on, and he says that maybe Cadigan interpreted the stone wrong. And you got Cadigan who says that, they've been studying the stone for centuries, and he doesn't know anything about the stone, pretty much telling Jordan, you don't know anything about what this is. And I kind of like that. It was an interesting scene, but as usual, Cadigan is, being annoying as he's the villain. And at which point you got Cadigan who also decides, hey, I'm leaving and I'm going to have some lunch, much to the group's objection. But Gabriel takes one of their guns and goes with him, saying that Cole take care of him and keep an eye on him, and then return after they've had lunch. Now, while they're eating lunch, you got Cadigan who tries to convince Gabriel that what they're doing is right and that they are, being the good guys, and Gabriel is needs to understand and tries to convince Gabriel that they're pretty much the same, as both of them are kind of like gods. However, Gabriel keeps objecting to him, saying that they're not gods and they need to do what's best for the people. And Cadigan tries to convince him more, but again, you got Gabriel who just won't listen to him and doesn't believe in what he's saying. Now, as they're eating lunch, you got Anders who shows up in the room to tell him that they've got an issue, and they pretty much dismiss Gabriel to leave, but as he's leaving, they take his gun, and he's forced to leave. Now, once this happens, Gabriel returns back to the stone room, and at this point, you got Jordan who has gone through the whole files of their research on the stone, and he believes that they interpret it wrong, and that it's kind of in Korean language, and once he deciphers it, he believes that instead of a last war, it'll be really a final test rather than an actual war. Now, at the same point, you got Gabriel who does return, and they inform him about their findings, and Gabriel decides to help him and check it out to see if Jordan is right. Meanwhile, you got Echo who saves Hope from being sent to Skyrim, and informs Hope that the rest of their people are here and that it's time to actually escape and get back to Sanctum. Now, she doesn't really tell Hope her plan, but she tells him that she's got an hour to get everybody to the stone room and get going. Otherwise, they'll pretty much not get out. Now, Hope questions her, but she just kind of convinces Hope that this is what needs to be done. So you got Hope who rushes off to get everybody and get them to the stone room. Now, meanwhile, you got Clark and her group who reunite with Octavia and her crew, and they pretty much, do go for the whole reuniting thing. And you got Clark who thanks her for not telling them about the flame. Now, as they're pretty much being reunited, you got Hope who interrupts their reunion and tells them that Echo has a plan to get them off, and that she's she got help from Levitt to get them off the planet and get back to Sanctum. Now, as they're leaving, you got the group who realizes that Levitt wouldn't have helped them. She wouldn't be able to force Levitt to help them, and that she's done something to him, and this is pretty much a suicide mission for Echo. So they go to find Levitt in order to stop Echo from pulling off the rest of her plan. Now, our group does go off and are able to find Levitt, but they realize that he's been tied up and tortured by Echo, and he informs them that Echo has taken the Gem 9, which was the original substance that killed off the original Bardonians, and that she's going to weaponize it and spread it throughout the planet in order to kill everybody. Now, he tries to convince them to take him with them, but they leave him behind and go off to stop Echo. Now, they do find her and try to stop her from releasing the Gem 9. However, she's saying that this is what Bellamy would have wanted, and she's doing it for Bellamy. Now, our group tries to talk her down, and she won't listen to them. However, you got Raven who talks to her and is able to bring her down after mentioning their time on the ring and how they're family, at which point Echo breaks down and agrees and, stops her plan from going forward. Now, at this point, Anders comes in and confronts them as Echo had killed a few of the disciples in order to get her plan to go through. Now, he confronts them and calls them a bunch of savages and that they don't deserve to be saved and go through the transcendence. And he takes the Gem 9 and pretty much says that they're going to answer for their crimes against their people. Now, at this point, Hope gets angry and slices his throat. Now, they end up killing the rest of the disciples that are in there with him. Now, in the process of her killing Anders, though, he drops the Gem 9 that he took, and it's about to go into the water supply that would cause it to kill everybody on Bardo, at which point you got Dioza who catches it before it can do that, and it ends up crystallizing her like it did to the original Bardonians, and she pretty much turns into crystal and dies, and they're forced to take Hope away as she cries over the death of her mother. Now, this part I really didn't like. The rest of the story I felt was pretty solid with the Bardo story, which I was good with. However, I didn't really like the way that it ended with Hope, because I feel like it was overly dramatic as they drag her out. A lot of shows usually do this, and I'm still taking off points for this because I feel like it was way overdone and way too dramatic. But overall, I did like this episode. Now, meanwhile, back on Sanctum, you got Murphy and Echo who are trying to help the injured following Sheiheda's slaughter of the faithful. Now, some of them did survive his murder of them all, and they are trying to help them. And in the process, Indra returns from what she had gone off to do, and she realizes that it was all set up and that Sheiheda escaped through the secret passage that they used. And then they realize that his next target will be Maddie, so they go and rush off to find her. Now, meanwhile, Sheiheda does find Maddie in the tavern. Now, he catches Maddie off guard at first because he just speaks the Grounder language to her. Now, she still thought that he was Russell, so she gets caught off guard, and you got Sheiheda who threatens to kill all her loved ones unless she kneels to him. Now, frightened by him, she does eventually kneel to Sheiheda. Now, I really love this scene. Again, love the Sheiheda storyline. It is really, really good at this point, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it moving forward. And just this scene between the two of them, J.R. Burns is killing it as Sheiheda, so I really love this. And of course, Lola is great as Maddie. So this scene was really good, and I loved every single minute of it. Now, Indra, John, and Amori are able to find Maddie, who again is having a panic attack. I'm not going to go into the whole thing of her having a panic attack again. This one makes sense. Now you got John, who I love this scene, is able to calm her down. It was such a great scene between the two of them, and I love the kind of relationship these two characters are forming. Now, as this is happening, you got Indra, who realizes that Sheiheda is revealing himself to one crew, at which point she worries as she knows that Sangara crew will follow him, and the other clans will soon follow. So she rushes off to try to find and confront him, and tells John and Amori to keep Maddie safe. As Indra is looking for sheiheda, she is interrupted, and one of her people says they should enlist the help of the other clans. However, she objects, saying that they can't trust the other clans. And again, as they're trying to look, you got sheiheda, who comes to the microphone and pretty much begins reciting the lineage of the commanders in order to ascend as commander, at which point Indra rushes off to find him, finally realizing that he's in the palace. Now he tells one crew that, kneel or die, his usual proclamation. And you got some of the one crew members who begin to kneel. However, Indra bursts into the room and tells them to get up and not to kneel. Now, this is the point where she confronts sheiheda and tells him that if he wants the throne, he must win it through her, and declares that they will have a battle in single combat, which he reveals that this is exactly what he was hoping she would do. Which at this point, you got the two of them go and face off, and he thanks Indra because it gives him the chance to return back to his ways of grounded life. Now, I love the battle. It was really great. I do wish it was longer because it was such a great fight, but I understand we were cut for time, so it was fine. But I did really love the fight. However, she quickly becomes unarmed, and sheiheda is about to win. However, Maddie shows up and cuts his eye out, which I thought was really great. I loved that move from Maddie. However, he then prepares to go and kill Maddie for what she did. However, Indra decides that in order to, save Maddie, she will kneel and tells him that to spare Maddie, and that she will kneel to him, which I really loved. And at that point, she does kneel to sheiheda, followed by the rest of one crew. But at the end of it, I guess she passes out. I hope she doesn't die or anything, but she does pass out, I think, due to, how much the fighting went on between the two of them. From that point, you got sheiheda, who orders Knight, who is now pretty much his second in command, to go find Maddie and kill her. That way she can't get revenge on him. Now, the group then returns to where he had murdered the faithful in order to kill the rest of them. However, they are gone, as Murphy and Amori had earlier decided that they are going to help them and rescue them, even though that they now hate them. And at which point sheiheda orders Knight to go find them and kill their families and their children in order to, make sure they can't get revenge as well. However, Knight objects to this at first, saying that I guess he doesn't feel comfortable killing the kids. However, you got sheiheda, who then convinces him that this is what must be done, and he does agree and goes off to kill the kids, I guess. And then we pretty much end the episode off with Murphy and the faithful hiding out in the reactor room, and Murphy is thanked by the faithful, of course, for saving them, even though they are kind of still upset. Some of them are still upset due to him lying to them. And Amori does tell him, look, this is a good thing that you're doing. However, you gotta know that we'll be on sheiheda's hit list now, which Murphy says it's okay and that this is what must be done. And she thanks him and says that he's becoming a good leader, which I liked. This was a really great episode. I actually did like both stories. I did like the sheiheda one a bit better, but still a really great story for this episode. And for this episode, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think it was a really great episode, and I'm definitely excited to see what happens moving forward as we get to the final episodes of the season. So yeah, guys, that's my review of The 100, Season 7, Episode 10, A Little Sacrifice. As always, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and share. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and hit that bell icon. That way you don't miss any more The 100 rated content from me moving forward. And you can go follow me on Instagram and Twitter, which are linked in the about section of my YouTube channel. As always, it's been Vision here with Blind Entertainment, and I'll see you next time.